adding these items to the agenda? All right, without objection, then those items are added to our agenda, and we'll take them up after we take the other two items up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Schnatterbuck, we'll now move to the first item on today's agenda, which agenda item A has to do with a copier, I believe.
Actually, it's a digital duplicator for Hammond High Magnet School. It is on state contract. We are purchasing it hopefully with Southeast Business Systems in the amount of $3,892.
For Hammond High Magnet School. Okay. Is there a motion to adopt the administration's recommendation?
I'll make that motion to adopt the administration recommendation.
Motion is made by Mrs. Bailey Simmons. Is there a second?
I second it.
Second by Mr. Westmoreland. Is there any other discussion on this motion? Have we received any public input requests on this motion? All right. Members, if you will, then we'll call the question. Ask that you vote your machines. You have the
Online voting is now open.
It's not on my screen. You got it? Yes. All right, it didn't pop up on mine.
Jerry, could
I
you see
hadn't
Ms.
done
Simmons?
Right, you think?
I didn't join the meeting.
Mrs. Simmons, what is your vote?
She probably didn't.
Voting yes?
Yes.
We'll record a yes vote from Mrs. Bailey Simmons, record a yes vote from me. Are there any other members that haven't been able to record their vote? All right. Yes. Can you post
Got the rest of them, Ms. Nikki?
She does, Mr. Duncan.
Okay, so what is the, I don't have the vote. What's the results of the vote? All right. 7 yeas, 0 nays. The item is agreed to. All right. Next item on the agenda, Mr. Schnatterbuck.
Yes, is to consider approval to purchase, again, off state contract, a Canon 4545i copier with the service agreement for the Central Office Transportation Department from Southeast Business Systems in the amount of $5,188. This particular item was originally scheduled to be replaced in the 2021 school year. The unit has since failed. They cannot find the parts to replace it. We're currently using a loaner machine from Southeastern, so we would like to go ahead and move forward and purchase the replacement for this equipment.
All right. Is there a
I'll make
motion
a
to
motion.
adopt the administration's recommendation?
I'll make that motion, please.
Motion is made by Mrs. Dominguez. Is there a second?
Second.
Second is made by Mrs. Richards. Foltz. Is there any other discussion on the motion? Is there any public input? Is there any objection? Without objection, the item is agreed to. All right. We'll next take up the item regarding the parent pickup and drop-off at Greenville Park. Mr. Schnatterbuck.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. It's consider approval of the low quote to install a canopy over the Greenville Park Leadership Academy's parent drop-off and pick-off location from the low vendor Faithful Gutters in the amount of $17,600.
All right. Is there a motion to adopt the administration's
I'll
recommendation?
make that motion to adopt.
Motion is made by Mrs. Bailey Simmons. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Dominguez. Any questions from the board on the recommendation? Appears we had 3 quotes, Mr. Schnatterbuck,
That's correct. We had 3 quotes, Faithful Gutters, North Shore Gutters, and All-State Canopies.
and Faithful Gutters was the low quote by $25.
Correct.
And we have done work with them before.
Yes, sir.
All right. Any other questions from the board? Any public input? Is there any objection to the motion? Without objection, then the motion is agreed to.
Mr. Chairman, the next item on the additional items is consider approval of the low quote to install safety fencing at Greenville Park Leadership Academy's parent drop-off and pick-off location from the low vendor Milton Fence in the amount of $1,400.
Is there a motion to adopt the administration's recommendation?
I'll make a motion to accept.
Motion by Mrs. Dominguez to adopt the administration's recommendation,
Second.
second by Mr. Westmoreland. Is there any other discussion from the board?
Is this,
Uh,
Mr. Tolar?
is this new? I mean, obviously they're using this drop-off point. Is this a new spot?
Yes, well, it's not a new spot. We've been using it for a while, but we do have young students. This fencing will be between the existing, we have some fencing that kind of keeps the drop-off point away from the playground area.
Right.
But this would be between the cars and the sidewalk.
Correct.
So it will have separations where a gate would be. Students will get out at certain points, get behind the fence, and walk safely under the canopy and on the sidewalk.
Can you roll it up a little further, Lakeisha? Roll it up.
Any other questions from board members? Is there any public input?
No, I mean, like, down to the next.
All right.
Is it going to cover the whole area of all of it?
It's
All of
gonna, it's not a very long section of fencing. It's 180 feet. It's gonna cover the parent drop-off area, most of the driveway. It's not a very large driveway coming off of a West Dakota street.
Any other questions? Is there any objection to the motion? Without objection, then the motion is agreed to. All right, next item is for Hammond High School, another canopy issue, Mr. Schnattelbach.
Correct, Mr. Chairman. We're asking to approve the low quote to install a canopy over the roll-up door at the Hammond High Ag Building. The low vendor is North Shore Gutters in the amount of $3,000. This canopy will allow the classroom to open the door on fair weather days and to extend the classroom and have more space for meeting and working with kids in the Ag Center.
All right.
Go back the other way.
Is there a motion to adopt the administration's
I'll
recommendation?
make that motion.
Motion is made by Mrs. Bailey Simmons. Is there a second? Second by Mrs. Foltz. I always want to go one or the other. Okay. Are there any questions regarding the motion? Is there any public input? Is there any objection to the motion? Without objection, then the motion is agreed to. Our final
Mr. Chairman.
item
Number
is
4.
for some doors at West Side Magnet School.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we are asking to consider a low quote to construct and install 2 security doors for Amite Westside Magnet School from Mike's Glass and Radiator. The doors will include a buzzer to allow security access in the amount of $8,590.
Is there a motion to adopt the administration's recommendation?
Make that motion.
Motion is made by Mrs. Foltz. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Dominguez. Are there any questions from board members related to the motion?
Is these outside doors?
No, these are going to be interior doors in the hallway. What happens when the public comes in now, they have free access. They can go to the gym. They can go down the hallway with the students. We'd like to have them come into the office and then get buzzed into the campus if they need to be.
Okay. So you can go in, but once you go in, then you got to get buzzed in to get further into the school.
That's correct.
Are there any other questions related to the motion? Is there any public input? Is there any objection to the motion? Without objection, then the motion is agreed to. There being no other business to come before this committee, this meeting is adjourned.